Are we live? Do you guys see me? Hello?
I love how you always start your lives that way.
I know.
It's always so funny.
You would think that I would be good at this by now, but I'm not. I still stream from my phone. Well, for a while I was streaming from my laptop and it was really bad quality. But
Fair enough.
I have a microphone, so there's some progress. There we are. Okay, let's see if we can hear ourselves. Testing. Testing. Oh, woo. Yes, we can. I'm trying to decide if is it more awkward that we hold and go like this, or should we just button it to you and hope for the best?
Either way, I'm not worried about it.
Let's listen to it. So if it's right here, can you talk to?
Do you want me to say something?
Oh,
Okay.
it's catching you pretty good. So maybe we'll just hold it.
Okay.
Hi, you guys. Welcome back to the channel. Hi, Irina. Hi, Melanie. Hello, hello. Todd's here. Casey's here. I wanted to say before we get in this video, thank you guys so much for being so kind to Brenda and sharing so much of your just loving selves to her. I know it's not easy to go public with your story, especially when there's people like order members that are trolls.
Yeah.
So it makes it so much easier to know that you guys are there and supporting. And so I just wanted to say thank you for that. Do you feel like that's helped to be more comfortable?
Yeah, I think it was pretty encouraging when I was first looking at the comments, realizing that the first few people to comment weren't just going to be a bunch of
Meanies?
a bunch of people that just didn't have anything nice to say.
Did you expect negative?
Yes, but I'm used to getting negative comments because of what my most popular video is, and a lot of people
Were mean to you about with that one?
yeah.
So in a way, has it made you have like thicker skin and you're just like, yeah, whatever, it is what it is?
I feel like I've always had pretty decently thick skin, but I think it just depends on like what headspace I'm in when I see negative comments, and depending on who it's from. Most of the time, I don't really care, and I think it's funny. Like, I actually think it's hilarious sometimes. But then there's like specific things where it's like either just irritating or I just have to brush it off because I mean, at the time when I was younger, I didn't realize the full extent of what it meant to put yourself out there, and then I realized pretty quickly, and so now I'm at a point where
Comfortable.
I'm okay with it.
That's a good point too, how you said it, depending on who it came from, because it's the same with me. Like in the beginning of doing YouTube, when it came from my family in the order, and all of the negative comments were from my family in the order, and I was like, damn, that hurts. But when it's like a stranger, and to me, it depended on the day with my mental health.
Yeah.
Sometimes I could brush it right off and not even care because I'm like, why do I care what a stranger thinks? And other days, I would just hyper focus on that comment, which sucks because even though there's so many positive comments, your brain goes to that negative one when you're in that negative mental state. But anyways, so I'm glad that you got to the point you're at now. And I'm thankful again for all of you guys for being so damn supportive. Some of you guys' comments makes me tear up. You guys are so sweet. What are her hobbies? So we have questions that we wrote down from you guys, and then I have questions for you. But do you want to answer that one? Do you?
Yeah. I feel like I have multiple hobbies. I really like art and crochet.
Yeah, she brought a project here today, and she was crocheting.
I love video games and anime, and I like to collect things as well.
Like the dolls?
Yeah, I like Monster High dolls.
She's got a good collection going.
I like tech decks, skateboards. Just anything that I look at, I'm like, oh, that's cute. Like a lot of Sanrio characters I'm obsessed with as well.
Nice. That's cute. Was this something you had in the order too?
Oh, and Pokemon cards.
Really?
So this is all things that I didn't have in the order. I've always loved these things ever since I saw Monster High. I've always wanted one ever since I saw what Pokemon cards were. I'd always try to get them. The few Pokemon cards that I did get access to were taken away from me.
Oh.
So it might be a little bit of me reliving the childhood that I didn't get to have, but part of me thinks even if I didn't grow up in the order, I'd still be doing what I'm doing now. I'd still be collecting Pokemon cards and Monster High dolls. It's just something I enjoy.
But at least now you're free to do it out here instead of in there getting it taken away
It's not
from you.
something that I have to hide from people. I could just be proud of it.
This is a good question, actually. Taylor says, tell us more about your artistic expression. I know Amanda does fun and spooky makeup and paintings. What are your artistic? So she's actually a really good artist. And I was like, right before we went live, I was like, damn it, I used to have a website that was working. I'm still working on getting it back up. We could have put some of her art on there, but I know that she's made art for other people and sold art. So I'm going to put her link to her Instagram in the description box down below. Is that the best place for people to contact?
Yeah, I would say so. It used to be privated. It's now public. I post all of my art there.
So then that way, if anyone is interested in her style of art, would you be willing to like create something for someone for sale? Sorry, I'm like talking for you.
No, you're good. I mean, I haven't officially said that I'm like open to commissions. Right now I'm working on some stuff for people for holidays. But I will in the future post when I'm open for commissions.
Yeah, 'cause she's really good, and I really enjoyed being able to. When you guys were like, I would buy that. I was like, really? Okay. And so why not make money off of something that you are passionate about and that you're really good at?
Yeah.
So maybe I'll post it to my Instagram too when she's ready to start taking commissions, so that you guys can, because these guys, a lot of you guys love art pieces. Like I cried with how much people actually bought my stuff. So, and might as well, might as well be like, wow, I can actually make money off of something that I love doing.
I will say though, my top 3 things to make are animal portraits. Anything anime or animal related I like to do, but I also tend to do like more darker themes at times, like cute dark.
On the topic of anime, someone did ask, because I posted on Instagram for questions, and someone asked your favorite anime.
Or like good recommendations.
Yeah,
or...
recommendations, yeah.
So I want to say that there's this website that I use to keep track of my anime that I watch or want to watch. It's called My Anime List. So when I go on there, you can see on my profile what I consider to be my favorite animes.
On your Instagram? Is that what you said?
It's a website called My Anime List. I don't know. This is basically what the website looks like. One second.
Oh, I thought that was your list. I was like, that's a
That
lot.
is my
Oh,
list.
it is.
So here's my profile.
Can they follow you on it?
I think so. You can send like friend requests or something. So it says I'm watching 8 anime right now. I've completed 201 and I plan to watch 358.
That's so cool. I didn't even know these kinds of apps exist.
And then you can also scroll down to see my favorite anime characters. So
Which one are you watching now?
the ones I'm watching now, so you can click watching. I'm currently watching My Hero Academia, Higurashi, which translates to When They Cry, OVAs, Demon Slayer. You're always forever watching One Piece if you're watching One Piece, apparently. I'm rewatching Soul Eater, and I'm trying to finish Hunter x Hunter, just a couple other ones here and there. But I would say my favorite, if you're thinking of movies, I would say Your Name, A Silent Voice, Wolf Children, or Princess Mononoke.
Oh, I love Princess Mononoke. I watched that one when I was younger. But here's the weird thing. In the order, it was like anime.
Sorry.
Anime was like a bad word.
Yeah, I just thought of Madoka Magica. I'm obsessed with Madoka Magica. They're coming out with a new movie. I'm really excited.
It's a show or it's movies?
So there's an anime series that is based off of some stories from the manga, but I recommend to people to just watch the movies because the first and second movie are basically just the series, but with better animation.
Okay. I wish I knew more about it, but I feel like because the order was so like, no, that's bad, then I was always like, I had a negative opinion of anime because of the order, and then I started kind of, Death Note was my first one where I was like, oh, this is kind of cool.
That's a good one. Yeah,
But-
it's definitely looked down upon. I had to hide the fact that I would watch it.
When you were in the order?
Yeah. The thing is like, I think before it became like looked down upon. People just didn't really have an opinion about it. My siblings, like my older siblings, would watch it, and that's how I got into it. I just was super young, watching it with them. And then I guess at some point they decided anime was bad.
Yep.
And so then I just knew that I had to hide it.
Yeah, well, even like Pokemon. I remember my mom saying Pokemon, we can't watch Pokemon because one of the main girls, I don't even remember her name, but she wears a belly shirt.
Oh yeah, Misty. That's so funny.
So we weren't allowed. And so whenever I found out someone was watching Pokemon, I'm like, oh, you're bad.
Yeah.
It's just in your brain.
I've always been open about my love for anime, but I just knew that I couldn't watch it in front of anybody. Otherwise, they'd be like, stop doing that.
Like it was like this big sin. I did have a few questions for Brenda. Can I go first, and then you guys can go next?
You're good at looking the comments.
I'm kind
I
of
keep
blind
forgetting to
too.
get that.
Well, everyone's
Look at
just kind of
that.
saying hi. Emily's here. Hi, Emily. Hi, Kaya. Hi, Jenna. So I'm just gonna ask some of the questions I had that I feel like we didn't really brush over. Well, there's a lot we didn't cover on your story. There's
Yeah.
so much more to Brenda's story, but I have more questions after I was editing your story that we didn't get to, which is mine are a lot of like mom questions and family questions because I struggled with that when I left, and I kind of resonate with you. But one of my main ones is, as where you are now in life, do you have any contact with your mom? Because you've been out how long now?
Almost 10 years if you are counting the day that I left, January 22nd, 2015. But it's been about 5 years since I last seen my mom, because that's when I turned 18, and essentially ran away.
Because before
From
that,
foster care.
yeah, because in her episode she talked a lot about being in foster care, and they did like mandatory visits, right?
Yeah, so the first 2 years it was like a lot, but then after they finally put me back in foster care and essentially gave up on the idea of me going back, then it was kind of just like every now and then for holidays or something like that.
Wow.
So I don't have a relationship with my mom. There are times where I think about messaging her and I think about reaching out because I do miss my mom and I do want to have a relationship with her and I do want to be able to love her and feel loved by her. But it's just the fear of rejection and remembering what it was like in foster care and what it was like going through trying to get away, and then like when I was with her just not being treated very well. Like
It's traumatic.
it's just hard because like I want to have a relationship with my mom, but all I can think about is how my mom was never proud of me until I lost weight
really
from having an eating disorder. And so it's just, that's hurtful to know that with anything and everything that I ever did with or did for or showed my mom or did at all,
That was the only praise you ever got.
the only positive thing my mom ever said about me and ever was proud of me for was losing weight.
How did she say it?
She would just be like, look, she's lost so much weight. Doesn't she look really beautiful? Like, oh my goodness, what did you do? Like,
And then that's gonna just further make the disorders worse because
Yeah.
it's the only time you're getting that praise.
Yeah.
I have something similar with my mom. My first diet was 14, 15 and she never, I don't want to say she ever like said that I was like fat or anything, but she would make comments because she struggled with weight, and I think it was just her projecting onto me. But she would be like, if you keep eating like that, you're gonna look like this, and I'd be like, oh, I'm supposed to care about that. And then, but my mom was similar where it was very rare. Honestly, I can't even remember a time where she gave positive feedback. It was criticizing, negative feedback. And I think that's why my brain now criticizes myself a lot, because that's the first voice ever, right, is your mother. And so you kind of adapt to how she talks to you or talks at you, and you start talking at yourself in that voice as well. But wow, that's crazy. So what you were saying is like you don't really want to meet up with your mom because there's that, I have that same feeling of like every time I have the thought of even seeing my dad, I'm like, I only see you as the person that you were, right? The person that was causing all of the trauma in my life, and I can't even picture a relationship that's not that. And so, but obviously like So my mom's a little bit different because she would reach out, and I know that you and Allison have talked about how your mom doesn't really. Allison literally, I hope she's okay with me saying this. She said that she texted your mom, like saying hi or something, and your mom was like, "Who is this?" And she's like, "Oh." And so I honestly feel that like the fear of rejection can even make you just not even want to reach out because they reject you so much that it's like I would just reject myself before you can reject me. And that happened to me a lot where if I reached out to my mom, half the time she'd be like, "Oh, don't come over here because your dad's here." Or she would invite me to things and then my dad would be there and she'd be like, "Never mind, your dad's here." So I would be like gearing up to go see my family who I haven't seen in months.
But then all of a sudden you realize you remember you don't get that choice.
And you remember where your place is to them. And it will never be where you have held them on this higher pedestal. You know what I mean? So it's hard.
I will say when I first was getting out of the court system, my mom, there were a couple of times where my mom did try to reach out to me. I think it was my birthday or Christmas or something. I got a text from my mom basically saying that she missed me and that she loved me. And I basically responded by saying, "Well, that's not what you said when I turned 18. Because in my head, I was like, "Oh, well, I know you're lying. I know you're just saying that because, well, even though I want to believe that she does love me, I feel like she doesn't know who I am, and the version of me that she loves is who she wishes I was."
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the same way I feel about her. Like the part of her that I love and the part of her that I want to have a relationship with is a part of her that doesn't really exist in my life. And I've never experienced that with her. It's just what I wish
She could be, yeah.
Yeah, like when I think about hanging out with her and when I think about just having a good time with her for once, that's just nothing. It's just not something that was ever, it never happened before, so why would it happen now?
Yeah. I hung on to that for such a long time. Like one day my mom's going to leave and one day I'm going to have my family back. And I'm constantly being let down. And so it's kind of like I had to let those expectations go away. And kind of, it's like mourning the loss of someone who's still alive. I was talking about this with Gerald the other day. And he's like, it's almost worse mourning the loss of someone who's still alive than a death because... And I mean, I don't know if I agree with it now because I do feel like I'm seeing a little bit more of, I mean, I had a sibling leave and I have a relationship with him now, you know, so obviously I would not have rathered him die because there's the potential where you could have a good relationship and even if they are alive in the order, I guess that's better than not being alive. You know, there's that whole aspect. But as far as the emotional part internally.
Well, there's closure
right
in one option, and then there's uncertainty in the other option.
Exactly.
And I think people are more comfortable with closure than they are uncertainty.
Yeah, or the highs and lows of it all. Because I had an FLDS friend say, I feel like you envy me, Amanda, because when she left, her family went and moved and left location. She has no contact with them. There's no window of ever seeing them again. Whereas with me, she would see me crying and being like, my mom loves me today, and then she doesn't tomorrow, and then she needs me today, and then she doesn't, and now she hates me. She loves me, she hates me. And she was like, I used to wish that I had your relationship where you could actually see your mom, but now I see you going through the turmoil. And she's like, at least for me, I can close that door and move on with my life.
Yeah.
I'm like, that sucks, but it's true. There's like that weird, like, are they my family? Aren't they my family? Where do I put them in the category? And just recently, I finally put my mom in an acquaintance category rather than a mother role because the mother role was letting me down constantly.
Yeah.
And the acquaintance, I can be like, put the boundaries up. Like, I don't need to rush and do things for you as your daughter because you have not done things for me as a mother should. So I shouldn't be doing these things that you are expecting of me. When I expect things of you, I get nothing. It's such a complicated relationship, but I'm finally to a point where I feel in a healthy place with her because I chose to put those boundaries up. Sorry, it was a long tangent. It was hard for me to get to this place, so I'm like happy I'm here.
I like what Tanya said about the one that died didn't make the choice to reject you.
That's true. And you can, that's the thing, it's at least they don't hate me, right? These people now hate me. My family hate me. Whereas if I died before I left the order, maybe there would be some kind thoughts about me. You know what I mean? Have you ever had those thoughts?
Yeah, for sure.
It's more of like, I don't know, just seeing them in that light. But I didn't have those thoughts before because I didn't think it would be this bad when I left. Like, I didn't think that my siblings could actually disown me.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a hard topic for me. But I'm grateful still, regardless, even after I left and even when I was being treated that way, I never once regretted my decision. It actually further proved that it was a good decision because I'm like, oh, so you guys don't like me. So I guess I'll just stay out. What does Kevin say? My mom would rarely compliment me, but would go out of her way to praise my oldest brother. It was quite sick. Oh, I hate that. Sibling competition, man. It's so hard. In my family, there was definitely a favorite, and I was the least favorite. Enforce those boundaries, yes. Have you ever tried to do therapy with both of your parents? Oh, no, no, no. My parents never, ever would do therapy with me.
I did.
You did because of foster care, huh?
It was court mandated, so there were times, well, there were multiple times because when I was sexually assaulted in the summer, there was actually a time where they took me out of school and essentially hid me at home because DCFS was looking for me. And so it became a thing where they're like, well, you have to put her through counseling because we got a report about this happening.
Who called DCFS? Do you know? Was it a family member?
But I don't feel
Yeah,
comfortable
you don't have
saying
to
who
share
it
it.
is
Okay.
because they're in the order still.
Oh wow. So someone was trying to protect you.
Yeah, one of my sisters, a lot of people found out, and it was kind of, as much as I hate to say it, it kind of turned into like this gossiping thing where my sisters just gossiped about what happened.
That's so hard.
But then one of them was like, well, this isn't okay, and so they reported it to the police, and that's what got DCFS involved. And so they're like hiding me from DCFS, and then they're like, okay, well, instead of hiding her, we're going to just work with them so that they're less likely to take her from us. So they put me through counseling, and it was like a therapist that they found that was like living polygamy as well, that like also
An order person or another?
an outsider who was living polygamy that was a therapist. And so that's where I got my therapy for that. And there was one session that actually Allison was there for that session. I don't know if she remembers, but there was one session where Daniel and my mom and a couple of my siblings were there, and we talked about it, just stuff in general. But in foster care, there was mandated family therapy where when I was in Lifeline, Daniel would attend therapy with my mom almost every week. It was like every week there was a day that I had family therapy. And he was there every single time.
How did that go?
It was so frustrating.
Yeah.
I don't remember a lot. I just remember a lot of crying and a lot of me being angry and me being like, you abused me, you did this to me, and this is what you said to me, blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, that never happened. And my mom being like, I don't think you remember correctly because that never happened. And I'm just like, you guys are just lying to me. I know this happened because I was there.
That's what's so frustrating because Priscilla said similar because she was in Lifeline too, and I have a whole video on that. If you guys don't know what Lifeline is, they were kind of forcing order
It's like
kids
a drug
to go
rehab.
Yeah, and so Priscilla tells a story like two big guys put her in a van and made her go, and
Luckily, that's not my experience.
yeah, that's
a lot
traumatic.
of people there had that experience though. That's like that's how they pick up their
Next
patients.
victim. Yeah. But so the way Priscilla was talking about those therapy sessions too is very similar, like very like they wanted Priscilla to be held accountable. Same with you. They want you to be held accountable.
There was a lot of okay, what could I have done differently?
But they will take no accountability, just like what you're saying, like that never happened, you're remembering incorrectly. So they have a higher expectation on their own child than they put on themselves. And that's one thing that bothers me so bad about these order people is like, be the example then. Be the example that you want your kid to be. Hold yourself accountable if you want your kid to hold themselves accountable. How are they supposed to learn to be okay with themselves and be open and honest if you can't even do it? It's so frustrating. But all of them are that way.
Yeah, that's how the family therapy sessions were in Lifeline. After that, when it was just mandated to have therapy sessions with my family, it was just my mom.
Without Daniel.
Yeah, without Daniel. He always had an excuse as to why he couldn't come. And I'm like, good. I don't want you there anyways.
Yeah.
So then I would actually try and work things out with my mom, and that's essentially what led into me moving back in with her for 5 months. I felt like we made good progress in family therapy, and we made compromises, and we made essentially like these deals that would be like, okay, well, if I'm going to go back and live with you, here's my boundaries, and I'll take your boundaries into consideration, and we'll come up with a compromise.
Right.
And so when I did go back, I was practicing what we talked about in the family therapy, only to realize that my mom just lied, and it was just all a plot to get me back into her house. And I was holding all of my ends of the deals, and she was holding absolutely none of her ends of the deals. And I kind of just was like, this is bullcrap. I was just lied to. Like, what the heck? What, like, why did I even try? Why did I believe them?
Yeah. It just feels like I don't know. The effort is for what? What is the effort for when you're not getting the same thing reciprocated?
Yeah.
I don't know. Your mom is. Do you ever wonder if she's watching, or has watched?
I honestly don't think she would.
Really?
I feel like my mom just doesn't care or doesn't have time for it, and if she does watch it, it's like, why?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I would just be confused. I'd be like, so you have time to watch me from afar, but you don't have time to like be a mom? Okay.
Yeah. I kind of on this topic of Sarah saying, being a parent, I can't even comprehend not having my kids, loving my kids unconditionally. It breaks my mama heart. Aw. And that's how it should be. And this is something similar to what I'm feeling like. If I was your mom, I would be curious what you're doing out here. And I would be, no, you're good. I would want to know. And I maybe wouldn't let people know I'm watching, but I would want to know how my daughter's doing that I haven't seen for 5 years.
Yeah, if it were me, I'd definitely watch. But I'm also the type of person where I would love my kid no matter what, and I would reach out to them no matter what, and I wouldn't let anything stop me from doing that. So I'm like, I don't get it either, but
Yeah,
it's just how it is.
Yeah, I guess it's a good thing that we have hearts for our non-existent children.
Yeah.
Cleve says the order is so obsessed with gaslighting. And when I was watching, because I had to edit your episode, and I was watching over and over and over, I was like, there's so many things that don't add up as far as the gaslighting, what they did to you. Like the thing where they were like, the demons made this person do it, but then they're holding them accountable as if they're going to go to hell. But then Daniel can do certain things,
but the excuse of like they let themselves get possessed. They opened it up, blah blah blah.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, the gaslighting is so real in the order, and I think it makes you, I feel like I was going crazy when I was in the order. Like, I remember thinking I was insane for asking the questions. Like, if I asked a question that they didn't know the answer to, like, why are we living polygamy, going through living polygamy on earth just to live polygamy in heaven? Like, I don't even like the idea of it on earth.
Whenever I had questions like that, my mom would always be like, well, I guess we'll just have to ask Heavenly Father when we get to heaven.
My dad even would say things like, he would quote, I don't know what movie this is from, so maybe someone could tell me, but he would say, the answer's not to reason why, the answer's just to do or die. Does that sound like familiar? It's some quote from something, but he would make jokes, but then when I would ask too many questions, he would be like, he would kind of act like questioning is questioning God. And remember how they would say questioning God is one of the big sins? Do you remember hearing that?
I'm going to be completely honest. Even though I thought I was a decently good order member, I never really paid attention.
Probably because you were disassociating a lot. And I was too.
I still to this day have like a disassociation problem.
Me too.
But I just remember like not really paying attention during church, and like I would try to, but my brain just couldn't comprehend what was going on. And then like it just got to a point where I felt like I got more attention when I was naughty and breaking rules, and I thought it was hilarious making teachers mad. So I remember being like the hugest brat as a kid because I thought it was super funny, and that was the only way I got attention. So
I think I subconsciously did things that got me in trouble because it gave me attention, but then I wouldn't understand why I was, this is the weird thing, like as a kid I was like, I didn't understand why I was getting hit so much and spanked so much and all this stuff, but I looking back, I'm like, it's almost like I tried to get their attention, because that was the only time, it was easier to get negative attention than positive attention. So as a kid, you just want your parents' attention, you know?
Well, it's like whenever, it kind of goes back into like my mom was never like proud of me for anything. For example, like I'd show her a drawing that I worked on. Like I started drawing decent drawings when I was 11, and I would like draw these anime characters, and I'd be like, look at this, and my mom would just criticize it and be like, why are you wasting your time doing this when you could be doing something more productive?
Oh.
And so
Yeah.
also with like me being obsessed with anime and always trying to make friends at school with the common interest of anime, nobody else was watching it, and anybody who knew what I was talking about was like, that's bad. And so I kind of already had this this
Negative.
negative reputation of like she's an annoying anime obsessed person. And so I kind of just was like, well, nobody is going to be interested in what I'm interested in, and so that doesn't really create relationships the way that I would hope it would. And so I think subconsciously I just looked for other things to do that would create relationships, and I'd be like, well, the kids that I like are naughty.
So I'll bond with them. Yeah. On the
Yeah.
topic too of what you were saying, how you were drawing and you had a creative mind, but it was not applauded by your mom, so you probably didn't do it as much, or just didn't show her as much. This is
I
the
didn't show her, yeah.
yeah, and the sad thing about the order, well, there's a lot of sad things about the order, but they don't want you to have a personality that's going to make you stray from the order in any way. Like any talents you have should be to be a mother, to bear children, to be a polygamist. Your talents need to be something that helps the order. So it's sad to see like you had talents then that a normal loving mom that's not in a cult would praise. And do you ever wonder like where would I have been if I had supportive parents?
No idea.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been times when I'd be talking with coworkers that were younger, and they'd be like, oh yeah, I love art, and my mom bought me all these art supplies and blah blah blah, and I have my own art studio. And I remember thinking like, that's so cool, like I'm so happy for you. But I never thought about it like, how would my life be?
Yeah. I used to get jealous. I would get jealous of kids that had parents
Well,
that
it's
supported their
definitely envious.
career. Yeah. And I wonder, for a lot of years, I wondered who I would have been if my parents hadn't like robbed me of like letting me see what my talents are. And who knows, maybe I wouldn't even be as obsessed with because the thing is, I'm okay with where I'm at now, and I love that I'm obsessed with psychology and I want to further my education in that. But I do think that a big reason why I'm obsessed with psychology is because I was born in a cult and I'm trying constantly to understand why people are the way that they are, why my mom did, because it helps me process. But I had one more question I was going to ask you, but I'm going to let you guys ask your questions. Sorry, I feel like we're having our own conversation. Is there anything in here you're reading that you want to answer, or is there anyone even asking questions?
There is someone asking for advice, but I'm not sure if I have the best advice for them.
Is it this one? I'm just going to say I need some help or advice because yesterday I stopped being friends with someone that is so dear to me, but I tried talking to her girlfriend, but now she said I can't talk to her. It hurt me a lot knowing how I was so scared of my friend to tell her things. I don't have anyone to talk to right now. Oh, I'm sorry. That is hard. And I think it's hard to give advice on it because we don't know the full context of it and we're not there.
Well, I also just know like what I would do personally is probably not the best advice, and is probably not what they would want to do, because
Yeah. So maybe you say what you would do and also what I would do. And you are a person of free will and you are smart and you know the situation best, so trust yourself. But here's what we would do.
Personally, I have become accustomed to cutting people out of my life and just being okay with that. I do know what it's like to feel lonely and feel like I don't have as many friends as I would want to, or I don't have people to hang out with. But in the last year, I would say a lot of the improvement with my mental health has come from, it might sound depressing, but just learning how to be happy with myself and learning how to enjoy my own company.
That's not depressing. That's
instead
good.
of instead of needing, I guess, relationships with other people. I don't know if anyone knows what this is, but I have borderline personality disorder, and one of the diagnosing criteria for that is unstable relationships. So for me, it's just, I'm just used to having unstable relationships, and so I found it easier personally to just not just cut it out. I don't have the emotional stamina to deal with
Yeah.
anything
Well, I think
extra.
it also sounds like you've found that you like being with yourself, which that's a very healthy thing. And I would even say my advice is similar, to love yourself and to trust yourself. And because you may be confused on how to handle the situation, because you also may not, there may be some pieces that don't trust your opinion on how you would go about it, or you don't know how certain things are going to make you feel, or if you need that validation from them, or if you need it from yourself. So there's a lot of moving parts to this, and I think that I'm just going to tell you, in my past experience with what I did that was the wrong choice for me, and then what I did that helped me. Same with you, like what helps your mental clarity, what helps your mental basically state. In the past, when I first left the order, I was 100% seeking validation everywhere I could go, because I didn't have it from my parents. I didn't have it within myself. So friendships were my life, right? Like I wanted a social life, and I was willing to put my mental state in a bad place, meaning having bad friends, just so that I could feel less alone, right? Feel like you're being a part of something. But in my opinion, if you are in a place with friends, with a partner, with your family, and you're noticing your mental state declining, that is enough of a reason to put a boundary up.
Yeah, and I don't want to like bring up anything too personal for myself and like other people. I don't want to mention names, but I will say that there has been a relationship where I felt like we could never really get along, no matter how much I wanted to. And I've kind of just got to a point where I'm like, you know what? They made mistakes, I made mistakes, and I'm just gonna have to be okay with that and hope that they accept me for who I am now, and just kind of look at it as water under the bridge. And there's always the future. There's always opportunity for things to improve. So if things aren't good now, I would say what I did was focus on myself and what I needed to do in order to feel secure in myself. And then once I was ready, I could reach out to that person and just not hold any hatred and not hold any
Resentment.
yeah. Just be okay with mistakes happening.
Right.
It happened. That's okay.
You literally described how my relationship with my mom was. So for a long time, it was me reaching out and wanting that validation, then getting hurt, but then finally putting that wall up, and then loving myself and asking myself, like, what is it that you need? And it's not worth picking up the phone and talking to your mom if it's going to make you for 3 days be depressed. So putting that wall up, and then reassessing myself, loving myself, realizing where the standards are. And now I can, not that I reach out and call my mom, but if there's a random chance that I see my mom, I just have that, I know that she's going to say things that are offensive. I know that this is what I can expect, because this is how it's been. And I am deciding what am I getting out of this relationship? Am I getting something out of it? Am I feeling better afterwards? How do I want to respond to the situation? But for a lot of years, every single time I saw her, I was depressed afterwards. I was in a negative place. And if I decided to never see her again for my mental state, I think that that's a good thing.
Yeah.
If it really is bringing you
always
down.
have to put yourself first.
Yeah.
Everything else has to come after.
Yeah. And I did. I ended up telling her, I was like, I'm not going to be talking to you for a long time, because I needed that. And so because I took that step away from her and was able to be like, why was I needing to see her so much? Why was I needing to get the validation? Why? And I was able to heal that wound. I talk about this a lot, where there was a wound, and every time I saw my mom, it was like she was ripping the Band-Aid off. So the wound never healed. So finally I took a step back, healed from the situation, and was able to have a better relationship. But
this isn't
yeah.
really related to like the comment, but based on what you said, I think it's funny because I used to always say I love my mom from a distance.
Yeah.
And I prefer to love my mom from a distance, because if I'm next to her, I just don't like being around her.
Yeah.
But it's easy to have this perfect image of her in my brain and miss the perfect image of her that doesn't exist.
Yeah. Well, and because every person wants a loving mother. Like every one of us has had a mother, right? We were born of a mother. And so there's this almost like genetic internal thing in us that wants to be loved by our mom. And there have been moments in my life where I've been really low and I've wanted to call my mom, but I was like, I know that if I call her, she's just gonna make things worse. But yeah, it's just a matter of trying to heal that wound and figure out how to, for me, it's like I just learned to kind of be my own mother and to be able to kind of protect myself in that way and heal those wounds for myself. But sorry, yeah, we kind of went on a long tangent with your question, but that's a really good question. And at the end of the day, trusting yourself and loving yourself is going to get you to the best places in life. So, and that's something I still do struggle with at times. Like there's times where I'm like, I get myself in situations because I'm not trusting myself. So I get myself in like negative situations because I'm trusting someone else's opinion over my own. I did that a lot when I first left the order. I don't know if you did that.
Oh, yeah.
Because they didn't train us to trust ourselves.
I just assumed that, I came from a cult, I'm not going to know the best answer.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
I'm just
also
going to go based on what everyone else says.
Right. But we were also raised to be the law of one above another. Right?
Yeah, we were not supposed to have our own opinions.
Yeah. So it was hard to exercise that. Anyways, love you guys. I have one more question for you. Please don't. Oh wait, you guys are so nice. You guys are talking back and forth to each other. I love that every time someone brings up an issue in the live chat, it's not just me helping, but all of you guys are there like rushing to help. It just shows like, I don't know, the community that we've been able to build has been so, I think it's the reason why I still do the lives. I don't think I would do the lives this long. I've been doing them every Sunday for like 2 years now. Haven't missed a single Sunday. Move this. Sorry, we're reading your comments. Was your name Brenda in the order, or have you changed it since leaving, like Gerald to Val and Jessica?
My name has been Brenda Collins my whole life.
I like that name. I don't know any other Brendas in the order.
That's the kind of thing, like when I was younger, I didn't know really how I felt about it. When you get baptized, they have a meeting where they basically talk about naming you, why they came up with that name, and what it was like coming up with that name. I heard my mom's version of the story, and I was like, oh, okay, that's actually kind of nice. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, she wanted my name to be Rachel, but Daniel was like, no, we have too many Rachels already. And so then my mom was like, okay, well, Brenda's a good option because it means, apparently, I've looked this up and I haven't found the definition for this, but she's like, it means princess. When I look it up, it means flaming sword or something like that. So I'm like,
I like that.
I don't know where she came up with that, but I remember at the time I was like, I can't relate to being a princess, but it's nice to know that she sees me as one.
Oh, that's cute. Thank you for the donation, Anne. Maybe we can buy more coffee with that. Did you want to answer any more of these, or we can go on to I will just ask my question. And also, if you want to add anything.
I think I will just add really quick with the whole name thing. I'm assuming people don't really know what a Therian is, and that's okay. But I'm going to just talk about it as if people do know what that is. When I awakened as a Therian and I found out I was Therian, I was doing a lot of meditation and a lot of trying to find answers within myself and like essentially trying to communicate with my inner soul, I guess. And when I was meditating in the order on a bus full of a bunch of screaming kids, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, what would I call my soul? Like, if Brenda is me in this life, what do I call my soul? And out of nowhere, Snow Crystal came to me, and I remember thinking, like, if I could choose a name, it would be related to the moon and wolves, because I was obsessed with, I still am obsessed with wolves and the moon. But then Snow Crystal kind of came out of nowhere to me, and it just wouldn't leave. So I was like, okay, I guess that's what my subconscious is trying to say to me, so that's what I'll acknowledge. So I've kind of turned Snow or Snow Crystal into a nickname for myself.
I like that. That's a very deep, for such a young age to be able to meditate on something so deep like that. That's like,
it was kind of like, I'm not naming myself. Nobody in this life is naming me. My soul is telling me what it wants to be called.
It almost sounds like it was like a freeing experience for yourself to feel like you have control too over something, because everything else in life was out of your control. So that's really cool. There was someone asking if Snow Crystal, if you were last name was Snow.
I think I saw that comment before. No, it is not. It's funny because I have half siblings where their last name is Snow, and one of my best friends growing up, Deanne Snow. I remember always thinking that was such a cool last name, but that wasn't even like in my mind at all when I was trying to figure out what I would call myself.
Yeah, it is so interesting. And we are going to be coming out with a Daniel's family tree video. And I asked a lot of Daniel's kids, because all of them have fake last names. And I asked your sister, where did your mom get Collins from?
No idea. I have an uncle named Colin.
So maybe.
So I just assumed maybe she just
Took
I
that.
don't know.
Yeah. Love the stories behind your name. Thanks for sharing. Oh, thank you guys for
Thank you.
showing up and showing so much support. I have a last question, and if we happen to see more questions, we'll answer them after this. But my last question is, where you're at now in life, with everything you've learned, what would you, if you could go back to your younger self, the younger Brenda that was leaving, that was going through foster care, probably the biggest trials in life, if you could go back and talk to her and give her some advice, what would you say?
I'd probably say a few things. I think the first thing I would say is to never get married.
I was joking too. Like, maybe I would do that too. But with everything you learned and who you are
Well,
now.
I feel like I could have learned everything that I've learned without getting married.
That's true.
That's just me. But I think also I would have said to believe in myself and to love myself, and that it's not my fault, a lot of things that I went through. And I guess knowing that I got out of the order, I don't really need to say this because I know I would have gone out anyway, but I think just the reassurance of look forward and don't look back.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think it would, I think about this a lot, if I could have went back and told my younger self things. It's just that having someone support too, like having someone tell you the things, like you're gonna be okay, you're gonna get through this.
Yeah.
That reassurance, because it's so scary.
I remember thinking my entire life it was never going to get better. And now this past year, I finally feel like it got better. And it's just crazy to me. Like, I literally never thought this was possible to feel good about myself. So I think that's another thing is, I know everyone's like, oh, it'll get better, blah, blah, blah. And even if I said that to myself, I wouldn't believe me.
Yeah.
But I think just that message, in a way that I probably would have actually believed it.
Yeah. Well, if it was from your future self, you would
If
believe
it was
it.
from my future self, I would believe it, but I wouldn't
If it
use
was
the
from anyone
words,
else.
it gets better.
Yeah.
I would probably say something like, it was worth it.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
I like that. I would say something similar to my younger self too. Well, thank you guys so much. I'm going to see if there's any questions. They're kind of like talking back and forth to each other. In Irish, baby names, the meaning of the name Brenda is Prince, Little Raven, or Beacon on the Hill. That's really cute.
I like the little raven part. That's
What anime character story do you relate to the most? That's a good question.
1 second. I have to think about that for a little bit. Okay, off the top of my head, I want to say, I don't remember his name, so I'm going to look it up. The kid with white hair from Hunter x Hunter.
Is that you? Because you have blonde hair?
Or, sorry, there's literally,
She's like, this is the loaded question.
this is a loaded question that I thought about before, and I have the answer. I just need to find it so that I can get the names right and remind myself. I remember thinking I related to Princess Mononoke a lot, but not a lot at the same time. Kind of like with how she was abandoned by her family, I did feel that way, but I never felt like I had that wolf mother that took me in and took care of me. I felt like I had to be that for myself. Another character I relate to, just personality-wise, would be Kyo from Fruits Baskets. And I would say just like with his temperament and the way he gets embarrassed or gets like angry really easily,
You're like,
I
"That's
relate
me."
to that.
I don't think I've seen or heard of that one.
But I think, sorry, I'm like, I want to answer this question and I'm excited to answer this question, but I'm having a hard time finding my little stockpile.
I know if we had the question before and you could prep for it, but
Let's see.
That was a really good question.
I think I have it. Okay.
You guys have some really good questions.
Ooh.
Someone says, "You are so wise, Brenda. Thanks for your honesty and openers." Yeah, honestly, with Brenda, so me and her didn't really have a relationship until I want to say like a couple years back.
Yeah.
We kind of talked here and there, and I met up with you here and there. One time I remember I think I saw you for the first time after you left with Jessica. We went to a sushi place, and I remember seeing your tattoo on your neck, and I was like, that is so cool. But we never really had a connection. As far as like friendship, we were kind of acquaintances back then, I feel like. But then in the last couple years, we got closer, and I'm shocked at how honest and vulnerable and real you can be after everything. Like, I think that that's something that a lot of people value. Well, in general, people value that. And it's, for whatever reason, very rare to find. But I think that that's also how you find your true happiness, is to just be genuine.
I feel like I've always kind of been this way. Maybe not as open as I am now, but I feel like with me back in the order being open about being Therian and being open about loving anime, I kind of just had this mindset of like, well, this is how I am, so people can either like me or they're not going to like me.
Yeah. That's a good way.
So I think it's nice to hear that people appreciate it, because my whole life in the order it wasn't appreciated.
Yep, very true.
But I did find the answer that I like the most for what anime character I relate to the most when it comes to like their backstory. So this is a character named, I don't know if you can see that. That's Oz from an anime called Pandora Hearts. I like the manga more. It goes into the story a lot more when you read the manga. But essentially what I relate to is him being rejected by his family.
Oh, wow.
And him essentially having to be strong at such a young age and essentially fight for himself. The idea behind, there's a lot of moments in the manga where characters are commenting on how he's so young and he's, you know, so mature, and he's like, you could tell he's super sad, but he's hiding everything behind a smile. I remember relating to that so much my whole life.
I would have watched this now. It sounds really good.
It's my favorite. I'm obsessed.
But you would recommend the reading it?
I would recommend reading it over watching it, or I would recommend watching it to get kind of like a preview and then reading it, because essentially the anime is just one season and it's just the setup of the manga. Like, it's the setup of the story, but then the manga actually has the story.
Right.
You're not gonna get anywhere story-wise with the anime.
Okay. So that's good to know. So if you're thinking about it, then read it, the manga. Wow, we went longer than expected. I know I was like, we'll probably be 30 minutes. We're almost at an hour, but this has been really fun. Yeah. Thank you guys all for joining, and we're hoping to come out with another video with Brenda soon. But yeah, I will be putting all of her YouTube, her Instagram, her social medias in the description box down below. And yeah, thank you guys for being so supportive and for hanging out with us, and I'll see you guys next Sunday. Okay, bye.